Billie Jean King.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
In the aquarium that's featured by Audible.
Yeah, look at these people.
Yeah.
I thought we should be on earlier, actually, so they could hear us, because you were giving a great interview. I was asking you questions, and you were fantastic.
I think people are here to hear.
No, I think
about
they're here
you.
to hear both of us.
And lucky we have the sun is out today.
Yes, beautiful.
I want to dive right in. The day was September 20th, 1973. That's 49 years almost to the day today that you played in one of the most important sports match in sports history, the Battle of the Sexes.
Yeah, I played Bobby Riggs. He was a former #1 player who was one of my heroes, so I knew all about him. He knew nothing about me.
Taunting you,
Oh,
wanting to
terrible.
say that women were not as good as players as men, that he was going to beat you, and you decided to play that match, for different reasons. You can get into it, but you seem to understand that it was more than just a tennis game, and it wasn't just about Billie Jean King being very competitive, wanting to beat someone. What was it about?
It was about social change, but what happened in May of '73, because he had been asking me for a couple of years, and we just started women's professional tennis. I said, Bobby, I have so much work with this. We're up day and night trying to make it work. And he goes, oh, we make a lot of money and we can do this. And I'm like, I don't care about the money. I don't want to play you. Because I didn't see any upside playing him. And he was a lot older. My dad. Actually, he was exactly my dad's age. I said, you're my dad's age. I don't want to play you. So anyway, finally Margaret Court, who at the end of '73 was #1, played him in May on Mother's Day in the United States. And she lost. And I told my former husband, I said, Larry, if Margaret loses, although I know she'll beat him, I didn't even worry too much, but if she should lose, then I'm going to have to play him. Because we're only in our 3rd year of women's tennis, Title IX, which here in Canada probably maybe know about it, because we give scholarships, athletic scholarships for the first time. And what it really was about, it was an educational amendment that stopped having classroom quotas if a school received federal assistance, which everyone did. So what happened is you'll see a lot of schools coming together, becoming co-ed schools because they followed the money. But it was really about classrooms and quotas. And in that 37 words legislation, there's the word activity. And I had met Senator Birch Bayh, who's one of the co-authors, he's one of my heroes. And he said we debated whether to leave it in or take it out. We were just thinking, you know what, let's just leave it in. It'll be a catch-all of something we might have forgotten. Well, we wouldn't have athletic scholarships for women in the United States without Title IX. So we just, 50th anniversary this year, because we passed June 23rd, 1972. So that's the year before, then I'm playing Bobby Riggs. So I'm thinking about Title IX, because people were already trying to weaken it. I'm thinking about, we're only in our 3rd year of women's professional tennis. Then I'm thinking about high school kids, junior high school kids, all these different, to give them opportunity. And then I think about the older people who never had the opportunity.
And because Margaret had lost as well.
She lost, I didn't have a choice.
So then people were saying,
yeah, see, they're no
then women
good.
Cannot play, they're not as good, let's not give them money.
She had her worst day ever. I mean, I didn't see it for a while, and then I looked at the tapes, and I went, we all have these horrible moments in sports when we're as an athlete, and that was one of hers. And I felt really sorry for her. It was terrible. She had a bad day, because she really
could have beaten him.
Totally. I mean, should have been straight sets and easy peasy, but she didn't. But so it was about social change. I mean, women could not even get a credit card on their own in those days at this time.
Husbands work for them.
Husbands or another guy or something. But all these things are in my mind, and I know that this is a huge turning point for us, because there was 90 million people, and I knew it would get very emotional, and I knew people would be betting and they would be arguing, and a lot of families had parties out in the suburbs. It was crazy, and then also other people in the world saw it. So it was really important for me with the visibility and an opportunity to really fight for equality. So thank you, God, for letting me win that match. That's all I can say.
I think you had something to do with it, your talent, and you trained for it.
Still, you're born with certain, it's what you do with it, you're correct.
You said about that game that you welcome the responsibility and the pressure, and overall throughout your career, you said pressure is a privilege.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I could see that as an athlete. Why did you feel the responsibility? What do you feel like you had to take him on? And why? What do you think we can learn from that? How can we relate to that, like when in our own lives?
Well, it's very important to step up at times, even though, I'm very scared and, a lot of different feelings go through your mind and body. But you've got to ask yourself a lot of questions. Are you willing to go out there and put yourself on the line, whether it be in your job, whether it be with your family, with your children, or whatever, with your parents? I mean, look at taking care of older parents, for instance. That's a huge decision, huge responsibility. Do you want this responsibility or not? A lot of times we know it's the right thing to do, and I knew it was the right thing to do. I knew all I could do was help if I won. If I lost, Margaret already lost, I thought, I'm just going to go for it. And I do love history too, and I like to make history, so we all are making history every day. I mean, I don't think people realize how important history really is.
Well, any women who play sports making money now may not be aware that it has a lot to do with that game. You were the first women athlete to earn 100,000 K after that match. You had proven before that you were just as good as another male athlete.
We're not as good as the top men. We never said we were, though, but we're talking about we're just as entertaining.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, you demonstrated that women could give a good show, put on a good show.
We're great athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet, even after that, there is still no equality. I mean, I'm thinking of Wimbledon. I'm thinking of
We got it eventually, though.
2007.
I know, but we made it a point. We started actually we talked about it in 71, and then as time went on, we're working behind the scenes like crazy. I think Larry Scott is the biggest reason, and Stacey Allister, who's Canadian and is the only woman who runs a major. She's the tournament director there. She was the first, and fantastic person. And no, they worked really hard, and then we got Venus to be the front person. And obviously we kept working, and then Larry went out and got politicians, businesses, public opinion, and it just became overwhelming that we deserved equal money at the majors. And then people say, well, the guys play 3 out of 5, you only play 2 out of 3. Well, first of all, I don't think anybody should play 3 out of 5 anymore, because young people cannot concentrate that long. And number 2, we're very happy to play 3 out of 5, because women have more fats than men, so we can last longer. Like if you see a 100-mile race, they have one in Northern California every year. The men and women compete against each other, because as the farther the race goes, because of our adipose tissue, we have a better chance to do well. So, but in general, like if you take the top men tennis players and top 10 women, the men are better. There's no question. Their hearts are bigger. It's the way it is. And but it's like almost like bantamweight, or lightweight or heavyweight or whatever. But the important thing is that each individual in life gets a chance to be the best he or she or they can be.
But in that fighting, early on in your career for equality, whether it was pay, access to, whatever it may be, equipment or viewership, you didn't get it right away. Again, I'm bringing it back to Wimbledon.
But you never do. We still don't have it.
And then why do you keep fighting? I mean, after that game, you probably did. You feel after that game that things would have been easier than
No, never like that. No, every human being has their challenges in their own lives and on and off the court. And no, my job is to do the best I can do while I'm on Earth, and my job is to pass the baton to the younger generations. But we learn from each generation. That's why I love history so much. The more you know about history, the more you know about yourself. But more importantly, it helps you shape the future, because we're making and living history every day. And I don't think people think about it like that. They think, oh, the history's in the past. Not really. Every minute, every tick that goes by, we're making history, new history.
But what kept you going after that game in 1973?
Well, I love to play tennis. I love to hit the ball. I mean, there's nothing like it for me.
But you could have just kept playing for yourself and not
No.
fight for equality.
I grew up in team sports. Basketball was my first love. My dad was a basketball player. My younger brother, Randy Moffat, became a Major League Baseball player. And
played in Toronto.
he played in Toronto. It was last year. He said Toronto was unbelievable. He loved it. He said the Canadians were so great as people in the country. I mean, so he was always bragging about it and telling me how great Toronto is and how great Canada is. And of course, I've been here a few times to train here. I think you said it's Point Claire?
Point Claire, yeah.
I think it was Southwest One Racket Club or something. It was
In the
Joanne
winter.
Taylor helped me.
In the winter.
And this is great. In January, it was a group of us. Vicki Berner really set it up. She was a Canadian tennis player. She's passed, but she was the #1 Canadian back in the 70s. I played doubles with her a little bit, Vicki Berner, and she got us up here. She knew Joanne, and we got up here. And in January, the warmest day was a -6. Like, it was really cold. But I don't like the heat, so I'm good. And then we had our dog here. Lucy was here. She was so cute. She loves the snow. She loved the snow. She was half black lab, and she loved to go out and just dig holes and get in it and say, look at me, I just love the cold, and everybody's freezing. But we're very lucky that they helped me with rehab, because nobody understood how to do rehab in those days at all. It was just guesswork. And Joanne probably had the most knowledge. There's also some men there I'm forgetting. Oh gosh, I just knew Joanne earlier.
So to bring it back to that battle of the sexes, you understand, and I think so as well, anyone who's played sports is a reflection of society.
Totally. It's a microcosm of society.
So what do you think women can take away from this battle, but sports in general, that they can apply in their at work, whether they're white collar, blue collar, trying to climb that corporate ladder?
Well, I don't like the way we're socialized very well. Men and women are all... So women are taught to be perfect, and boys are taught to be brave. Men are taught to be brave. Being brave all the time is impossible, so men, stop it. And women always have low self-esteem a lot, because we're never perfect enough. We don't look good enough, we're not thin enough, we're not this enough. And we're taught that as young girls, and we have to throw that out the window. The one thing sports does is we're taught not to trust our bodies also as young girls. And sports teach you to trust your body. It gives you strength, and it makes you...
Your body.
It's the whole package. It's emotional and mental and physical. It's all those in one. And it helps you be a leader in daily life for yourself, but it helps you to step up and lead when you have to. But it also teaches you, especially team sports, teach you to also be a great support person. And I'm big on both sides, because sometimes, even to be a great leader, you can lead from the front, you can lead from the back, you can lead from the middle, and maybe to really lead, you have to let go. Like, I remember the USTA, which is a governing tennis body in America, saying, we want you to stay and be the captain of the Fed Cup team, which is the World Cup of women's tennis at the time. And I said, no, I'm going to quit at 60, because I wanted Zena Garrison, who was my assistant coach, to have the opportunity. That I could stay there forever. Certainly, I was 60, and they came over to me, oh, we want you to keep going. I said, no, it's Zena's turn. So I think that I led by not doing something, and passing the baton to Zena was leadership as well.
Right after that game, I think you went into a newsroom, and because, again, sports is a reflection of society, you had female employees in that newsroom influenced by what you'd just done. Perhaps tell us what happened there.
Oh, a lot of women come up and they never thought about themselves enough. It's like, oh, maybe I can do something. Yeah, you can. It's like everyone doesn't realize their potential, really. And everyone's been blessed. Every single human being's been blessed. And what is that blessing you've been given? What is that special thing you have? What is that strength? that you've been given. And every person has something special, and they need to really hone in and focus on that, because that'll give, a lot of times that'll give them purpose, and it'll give them passion, all those things that equal winning in life. And I think people don't trust themselves enough sometimes, or don't realize how wonderful they are. Another thing is everyone thinks we practice our weaknesses all the time. No, champions practice their strengths every day. You know, like okay, you played basketball. What was your strength when you played?
I think I was pretty good in defense.
Defense was your best?
Yeah. I like to block. But
Ooh,
not
you
block.
like to block? Maybe you should have been playing football.
No, but I mean, on offense, when you set up screens.
Yes, you set up screens.
Yes.
You like that the best?
Yes, I enjoy that.
Yeah, you like to help your teammate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's what's
yeah,
fun.
because if I win, you win, I win.
Right, the world wins, you're right. And that's what people have to realize. But I think it's really important to ask yourself certain questions, and to truly believe in yourself. I think a lot of us, it's hard. We all go through really tough times. Also get help. You know, ask for help. It's good to ask for help. Mental care is really a big deal now, finally. I've had psychotherapy for what, I don't know, 30, 40 years at least. And I know it saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's really made a difference. You know, I had an eating disorder. I had challenges with my sexuality. Who am I? And when I got help is when everything changed.
And the fact that you were doing it in the public eye, people could see you and, reflect on their own lives as to how they could apply it to them. Again, taking it back to these women who, after seeing you play that game, went to see their bosses, asked for a raise.
Yeah, they did.
And got it. But I mean, if it wasn't for you playing, it sounds very silly. It's a little
they said
thing.
they got the courage from the match. They said, we saw you win, and they thought, we've been wanting to ask for a raise for 10 years, and a group of us finally went and asked. And I said, well, more importantly, did you get the raise? And they said, yes.
What does it tell you?
To ask for what you want and need. Girls are taught not to. Ask for what you want and need. Boys, girls, everyone, no matter how you identify, you self-identify. Ask for what you want and need. That was a very hard thing for me to learn. And I always could do it for when I had a group, when I was leader. But for myself, I would say I had to work hard at that.
What does it change once you do it? Because sometimes you're scared of what people are going to say, how they're going to react. Am I going to be, be rejected after that? How do you muster the courage?
Well, another thing I've learned, because I'm old, so I've got some perspective, is that don't take anything personally. If we can all do that, it really helps. And I've always been pretty good at that, actually. And I think forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness allows you to move on, move forward. But I really love people. That helps. I really do. And a lot of times they chose me as their leader, because followers choose leaders. Leaders don't choose followers. And I don't know if people think about that very often. Like, you see these people leading. Why? How? Well, I think in politics, that's a whole nother discussion right now. But in general, people usually push somebody to step up. At least that's the way it worked in my life. The players wanted me to be their leader. They chose me.
And you were able to rally them.
Well, I had to ask myself some hard questions. Did I really want this responsibility? And I was scared. And I just prayed on it. And I just thought about it. And I thought,
pressure's privilege.
Gonna go for it. I'm just gonna give me the ball.
So even if, again, you understood that it was more than about a tennis game, were you expecting people to talk about it 49 years later? And what impact did you think it was gonna have, or hope that it was gonna have?
We don't really ever know, but I think you just stay truthful. And you could not get on a tennis court in the U.S. the very next day, just about. And our game, our sport just grew. I think that's probably the most important match ever in tennis, really, as far as to help the growth and people to be interested. I think it's amazing, because now we have pro tennis, and Tennis Canada does a great job, by the way. They do a great job. Michael Downey, who heads it up, he's really a thought leader, and thinks about things. Like, he started Safe Sport, but then he gets a player like Debbie Dabrowski, who's the great doubles player here from Canada. She heads that up. Then you got Bianca Andreescu, who heads up health, the mental health. So they also they allow their players to be in leadership positions, and they really push them, and they really do an amazing job with the high performance. They have one here, and they have one in Toronto. It's amazing. And then I don't know if, of course, if Felix Auger-Aliassime, we call him A squared, because after a while you can't keep saying the name over and over fast. But he's adorable. He's really coming into his own. And then you got Shapovalov, who is such a shot maker. He's fun. So I know we're running out of time, but and then Rebecca Marino has made a comeback. I mean, Canada's got some amazing players for the size of your country. I think Michael Downey and his leadership has really made such a difference.
Well, I'm going to conclude by saying anyone who knows who you are knows that we're standing on your shoulders. A lot of athletes are, thanks to all the work that you've done. So thank you very much for this interview, and looking forward to chatting with you later on this afternoon.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Thanks a lot, Valerie McCullough.
Thank you.
Is it Michaela? Yeah, Michaela. Yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone.